Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We're here in the garage, but we're about to hook up the tracker to the tracker, and we're about to go out here and go fishing a little bit in the river behind the house. This is a unique challenge. It was JD's idea. I'm going to give him all the credit for it, and I'm kind of calling it a solitaire challenge because I'm fishing against myself, kind of, but it's really a competition between two rod styles, between fishing with a baitcaster and fishing with a spinning rod out here on the river to see which one is going to be most productive. What our plan is, we're going to do 10 minutes. So I'm going to fish with spinning rods for 10 minutes. I'm going to fish with a baitcaster for 10 minutes, and we're just going to rotate that throughout the day and keep track. I've even got 2 sets of Rapala scales and going to catch those fish, going to weigh them, going to let them go, but see which one produces better today. This is mid-December is when we're going out here. The water's probably going to be in the mid-50s. So I don't have anything rigged up yet. Here's what I think I'm going to rig up. On my spinning rod setups, I'm going to rig up a single swim bait, a little Bass Pro Speed Shad, 3-inch. And I think on the other one, I'm going to go with a rugby head. I don't know if I'm going to fish a bomb crawl on it yet, or if I'm going to fish a sticko. I guess I can change that back and forth. And then my alter ego is going to fish with a baitcaster. And I think I'm going to rig up a little bladed jig on that. And I think I'm going to rig up a finesse jig on those two on the baitcaster. I think that's going to be my 4 setups. So 2 baitcasters, 2 spinning rods, and going to go out here and fish against myself. I've already won, but I've also already lost. So we're going to see which one of these does best. I think this will be fun. But I want you to see, hopefully understand when you're out there on the river, there's different ways to catch fish. We're probably going to find one is going to be more effective than the other, but we're going to hopefully see and hopefully show you all that there's always more than one way to catch them. So we're going to get out there and get after it. It's been a little bit chilly this morning. We've waited, and should be a pretty nice day at this point. We've let the frost get off the ground, about ready to go put it in the water and see who wins, baitcaster or spinning. Who do y'all think it's going to be? Let us know in the comments below, and let us know who you think it's going to be, but let's get after it. Go try it out. Okay, so the water is clear, and it's definitely colder than I thought it would be. It's only showing about 50 degrees. Now, one thing that's going to happen, it's about 11 o'clock right now. 1 or 2 o'clock, I think the water's going to come up, given when they release some water up at the dam. So we've got a couple hours that this water's going to be low. I expect, if I was guessing right now, I would say the spinning rod will shine this first little bit. That water starts rising, the baitcaster's probably going to come on more. That's my guess, but we're going to get out here and try it. So I'm gonna start my first 10 minutes. Siri will be our official time counter today, and we'll set us up at 10 minutes. I'll get everything ready, make sure we're ready to go, and lines in will give us 10 minutes. Hey Siri, set a timer for 10 minutes.
Okay, 10 minutes and counting.
It's gonna feel very stressful. I'm gonna pause my timer and retime my swim bait. Hey Siri, pause my timer.
Okay, paused.
It's almost like it named me paused. Kind of looking, trying to even see, you know, any kind of life with the water as clear as it is. I'm kind of excited about trying a chatterbait at the moment because this ain't working. It would be a bummer if I was wearing them out and then I had to change. That's what will be the bummers when I'm like, this is working, now I finally figured something out and then I got to swap. At this point, I'm kind of relieved that I'm coming up on a swap. Okay, I'm gonna fish that one in. That's been 10 minutes with possibly one bite on a spinning rod that I broke my line on, but I'm not really sure. So now we're gonna repeat the timer. I'm gonna start with a small bladed jig, green pumpkin in color. And see if it's any better. It's like to even see one at this point. Just to get an idea as to where they're at in the river, you know. Let's move a little bit. Hey Siri. Hey Siri. Pause my timer. Not a lot more color, but a little more color. Hey Siri, resume timer.
Resuming the timer.
8.5 minutes. Some of the stuff I'd really like to be fishing that little crawl on, so I'll have to kind of improvise either with the jig or with this bladed jig and fish it a little slower. Maybe a little harder thinking than harder fishing than what we was thinking. I didn't expect it to just be lights out, but I didn't think it'd be too terribly hard. Yeah. Well, 2 periods in and no fish caught yet. So back to the spinning pole and kind of racking my brain a little bit. Where are these fish gonna be? I was thinking this lower water that we've got right now would be more productive, but now I'm kind of anticipating, looking forward to that water coming up just so it'll be a little bit different, to be quite honest. Let's see, let's go right on down the river. Hey Siri, pause my timer.
Resuming your timer at 9 minutes and 9 seconds.
Somewhere between here and halfway to that boat dock are bass. I mean, they're always right in here. And it's shallow right there and it's shallow right there, so it's not like they leave, you know what I mean? This is their home, man. Got a bass. It's a biggin. A little. Is that actually a spot? That is a spot. That's the rarest bass to catch on the Holston River. Of all the bass is a spot. There just aren't very many of those in here. He won't meet our 1 pound minimum, but it is a bite on a spinning rod on the little crawdad. Pretty little spot. But we have caught a bass now. So it wasn't a scoreable, but it was a fish, so it unofficially takes the lead in this competition. Even though it doesn't actually count, it does in my book because it was a fish, and it's pretty hard right now. So we will take that as a catch. And the fact that it was a spot, that's crazy. There truly aren't very many of them in here. On a little bluff, on the little baby sticko crawl, probably 5 or 6 feet deep, where that fish came from. That's the eagle. Landed right up there in that tree. That's him, squawking. I'm telling you, we've absolutely fished around fish right through there. More than that one tiny little spot. Well, we did kind of score in that period. Almost kind of semi-score that time. A little tiny spot. Let's go back with the chatterbait. Maybe if I fish this slow enough, it'll be kind of like that jig head, other than it'll be stuck all the time. I would think my quality on this would probably be better on average. Right there's a little fish. Is this another spot? That is another spotted bass, about the same size. It's not the same fish, but that is, I'm telling you, there aren't many spots in this river. I've caught 2 bass today, and they both were, but I promise that there typically aren't very many spotted bass in here. So now we are bite tied again, technically, even though neither one of them actually count, because both of them together wouldn't be a pound. Okay. So we have caught a fish on a baitcaster. We've caught a fish on a spinning rod. Neither one of them were a pound, and they were both spotted bass, which are the rarest bass in the Holston River. So I don't know what we've learned at this point, but that is a recap of what we've done. That's a full grown one, ain't it? The other one back over there's calling it back. Dadgummit, that was definitely a fish. That one felt decent too. Yeah, that felt like a decent bite. Okay, I'm starting to get a little more confidence in the moving bait for sure. And on the spinning rod, or on the baitcaster, that's this little bladed jig. When I go back to the spinning rod, I'm gonna start with the swim bait. They may be a little bit more aggressive than I was giving them credit for. Timer's up again. By the time I get to where I'm liking something. Repeat, back to the spinning rod. So, caught one, missed 2. Was I just in a good spot? I was in a good spot. But was it just a good spot, or was it? We're starting to figure out a little bit with the pattern. Part of me wants to turn around and go back through there with the spinning rod and see if I get bit, but part of me just definitely wants to keep fishing new water. We'll fish a little bit of this where I had those couple bites, and then go back down a little bit more. This is kind of the end of what's should be good this time of year. Pause my timer. Okay. We're gonna have to catch some fish to make this work, JD.
Yeah.
All these little grooves and high and low and high and low. I don't understand why they won't bite that swim bait. Makes no sense. Knew that was gonna happen as soon as I switch rods, the timer's up. That was 3 times without a bite, 30 minutes. Makes you realize how long you go between bites doing this. All right, hey Siri, pause my timer. Yep, I think I'm back to the spin pole. Four periods without a bite, JD.
4 periods.
Hope I don't ever do that in Major League Fishing. That'd be a day and a period. A lot of my best days, I ain't done much for the first couple hours or half the day, you know, so I mean, I get it, but that's about it.
There he is. Ha!
Where'd he come from?
Oh,
Off the log?
off the log.
Pretty good fish.
I mean,
Biggest one yet.
for the camera guy.
On the swim bait. Right off the log, huh? He was right out in the current, wasn't he?
Bumped it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Heck yeah. That would be a scoreable bass. Yep. Got a little fishing tip from the cameraman. Try the swim bait. Main River logs. Timer is going off. Back to the Baitcaster. You'd think that'd be on that stuff because it's the only shade out here, you know. Pause my timer.
Okay.
Let's go on down. Some of my favorite stuff is on down a little piece. I ain't been down there in quite some time. We came down the river a little bit and I don't even remember what rod and reel I was supposed to be using, so we're going to start with the Baitcaster. We're going to go with that. We're going to set a timer 10 minutes. It's been a terribly, terribly slow day to this point. Hey Siri, set a timer for 10 minutes.
Okay. 10 minutes and counting.
But it has been terribly, terribly slow. We're in a part of the river I really, really like, and I've not been down here, I'm gonna say more than a year, which is terrible. But it has been quite some time since I've been down in here. This area's got a lot of kind of deeper ledges and troughs and stuff. It's got some bluffy stuff that's deeper, close to the bank. It's a really good stretch of water. Pause my timer. Hey Siri, resume my timer.
Resume. Sorry. One more time. Resuming your timer at 8 minutes and 38 seconds.
That didn't take long. Good one too. Very first cast of the jerkbait. I mean a nice one. Dude, that's a big one. That was instant results. I had just cut off that little chatterbait. I mean, I'm talking about a stud right here. Stay on there, buddy. Yeah, that was crazy how quick that happened. Come right on around here. That is a good one. On a little old storm. Little small storm jerkbait. Come here, buddy. We're finally gonna get to weigh one. If I can get him right here in the boat, I'm just gonna lift you right on up in here. That is a good one right there. Little storm twitch stick. I don't know, I just had that feeling. I was like, man, I gotta try something different. Gotta try a jerkbait, and that is a good river smallmouth. Hey Siri, pause my timer. That's a dang good fish. I'm gonna say 3.10. 3.06. I missed it by 0.04. That is a good fish. Man, it's been terribly slow. We've got bright sunny skies, we've got really clear water, and that water's cool. It's down about 50. And that was my first cast with a jerkbait, all right? So yeah, I'm excited to get back in the water at this point. Right back down to the bottom. Yes. Yes. We got us a good one in the boat finally. He was on there's a nice log laying over there where that fish came from. Hey Siri, resume my timer. That was pretty cool.
Uh-huh.
I was watching one of Wheeler's videos the other day. He was on Del Holla. He did it 2 or 3 times. He'd hook one, fight it a little bit, and not see him, but see him on his active target following it. Stick this rod here, pitch another rod out, and hook another one. I think we'll see that more and more with that technology. You know, because before we had to get the fish up where you could see it. And, oh man, there's one with it.
Right.
But you can see that now before it ever bites. But certainly once you're fighting it to the boat. Got one right as the timer ran out. That's gonna hurt to have to lay this down. My timer's buzzing on my wrist right now. Does that mean he's a legal catch? If my timer's going off? Judge calls it legal. He bit it like right as the timer started going off. So now this is what's gonna make it difficult. So that timer's going. I've got another scoreable fish, but now I've got to lay this down and try to keep up with it with a spinning rod. I mean, and I think for the spirit of the game, I don't cut the jerkbait off and tie it on a spinning rod. Although this is a technique you could fish with either. But we've at least got in an area of the river that has got some fish in it, and it's got some pretty nice ones. That's another good chunky smallmouth. So what do I do now with a spinning rod to try to catch these same fish that I'm catching on a jerkbait? I've got an idea in mind. 1.91, almost a 2-pounder. So we went, I think I had went 5 periods, I'm calling them 5 10-minute periods without a scoreable fish, and in this one period I caught 2 really nice smallmouths. So that's a good change of area, come down the river a ways, change the baits, and we have got on the board. Get you back down there, buddy. Got on the board. Okay, so in the spirit of what we're trying to accomplish, we're going to lay this down, and I'm going to take off this 3/16 ounce jig head with a swim bait. Okay, I'm going to put on an 1/8 ounce jig head, and I'm going to put on a just a straight tail minnow, something I can tight line with. I think this really clear water, you know, that jerkbait is able to get some bites, but I've threw that swim bait a good bit. I've not gotten bit on it. So I'm gonna go even more finesse than a swim bait, and that is just by swimming a straight tail minnow. So the technique we call tight line in East Tennessee, that's what I'm about to try. I've never had to, you know, other than like the end of a period, be like, okay, you caught a fish, now put your rod down. But certainly just out fun fishing to do that. It's kind of mean, to be quite honest. This little technique has worked at times. Truthfully, this is the perfect kind of conditions for it. Bright sunny skies, no wind, clear water, and you know, smallmouth even on top of that. But that little dude right there, ain't much to it. It doesn't have any action whatsoever other than what you give it, but that's what makes it good. It just really kind of glides through the water, but it looks like a bait fish. And man, there's times smallmouth will absolutely destroy that thing. So let's see if that happens now. We're going to restart our timer, and with that, I just hold my rod tip up, kind of reel and shape my rod tip is what I'm trying to do with that. And there's definitely a learning curve of how fast to reel, how much to shake, and the angle you throw it with the current. There's a lot of factors going on right at the moment, but we'll try to work through that. I mean, I could, you know, I could just cut that jerkbait off and put it on a spinning rod. I don't particularly like to fish a jerkbait on a spinning rod, but I think, you know, kind of what we're trying to accomplish here is show that there's more than one way to catch them. That's really what I want to do with this, is show you that, yeah, they'll bite a jerkbait, but this is forcing me to fish, you know, to fish something different. A jerkbait on a spinning rod in this scenario, on this spinning rod setup, would fish totally fine. There would be nothing wrong with it. You know, so that there's no reason you couldn't do that. But I think the spirit of this deal is to kind of try to show that there's more than one way to catch the fish.
That jerk.
Or maybe we'll find out that there wasn't more than one way to catch. This is a way to make myself fish differently. Yeah. And we'll find out that, hey, there wasn't but one. I mean, a jerkbait was the only way I could, that was the only way hardly to get a bite. This hole coming up right down here is usually pretty good. Yeah, you can see that kind of rocky bank. There's one on the tight line. That fish was not really around anything to make me think to throw there. I was just fishing, basically. We have us a scoreable bass on the spinning rod now, though. I do think that one will go a pound. There was no bite to that. I really thought I had a piece of grass. It just fell out. All right, so we have, we've caught a fish on more than one bait. As I was fishing with that, I was kind of thinking to myself, is a jerkbait really that good? Because I had went a while with the little tight line and not got bit, but they may end up being pretty equal. Let's see what this one goes. He's not as big as either of those other two, but he's gonna make the minimum. 154. So this is a separate set of scales. They do weigh the same, but a separate set of scales. So we have got us another scoreable fish on the little tight line. Those are really, I felt like these two would complement each other well. The jerkbait and that tight line, the jerkbait that I'm throwing is, you know, very translucent and very natural looking. Obviously you can get a little bit more of a reaction bite out of those fish, where with the tight line it's more natural, more subtle. So you know, it's kind of a, you know, just more of a, maybe a feeding bite or curiosity bite or something, or with the jerkbait could be more of a reaction. So hey, we've got bit on both now. It's going to keep floating on down the river. Area or presentations? Which one is it? Or both? I'm gonna go with presentation, because fish live up there where we were. Although I do really like this section. I'm gonna have to switch back to my jerkbait. Back to jerkbait time. Baitcaster presentation. I'm gonna make a cast over here through this. See how, I mean, this is a perfect ledge. It just falls super hard.
Oh, good one.
Big one. That's a smallmouth. That's a big one. Nice.
How about your jerkbait? That's exactly where you
were. Yeah. Because it's not on a spinning rod.
Team spinning rod.
Oh, dude, that's a good one there.
Golly.
Yep. That's a 3-pounder.
Hot Depot, will you net my fish?
I will. Hey, Siri, pause my timer. Right where he should have been, wasn't he?
Yeah. He clocked it.
Did he?
Yes. Oh.
It would about tie up the spinning rod to Baitcaster. Yep. That's a good one there, JD. Had him pinned really good. I'm getting your stuff all wet. Yeah, he's been caught before. Look at how his jaw's kind of funky.
Team cameraman.
Yep. Time change. That's weird. Got one on the tight line. Right here, buzzer beater. Trying to see if he had any buddies with him. I'm surprised I've not caught one yet that's seemed to have any buddies with him. I think we do have another scoreable. I'm gonna have to make up some ground a little quicker with the spinning rod to catch up with the weight I've caught on the Baitcaster. About through with the wrong hand through the fish in the river. That would have hurt. Let's see what we've got. I think he's gonna go a whole pound. Oh yes. 138. 138. Decent little smallmouth. This for sure this area of the river has been more productive, but I do absolutely think the bait changes have helped with that. This area down in here has got some deeper ledges. You know, it's got some good water kind of in between these rocks and stuff. That seems like where those smallmouth are holding at. These places, it's got these sharp little breaks. A lot of places to knock the current back. Seems to be doing pretty good. So seems to be working. By the time I get this rigged up, it's probably gonna have to be about the end of the timer. The water has started up too. That piece of wood that was on this shoal right here, it's about covered. Spinning rod. That's a good one too. Real good one. Oh, I'm talking about a really nice one. If I can land this one, the spinning rod will take the lead, buddy. Oh, that's a big one. I'm gonna take that off the spot lock so I can fight this fish the way I need to. This is a big smallmouth for out here anymore. Dude, that's a chunk. Stay on there, buddy. He was right down in that deep hole right below this shoal. Right where he should have been. Come on up here, you big dude. Yes. Oh, he's got it completely gone down in there. That little tight line. I mean, it is eat. Oh, dude, that's awesome. Let me hit spot lock right here. That was so good. I was swimming that thing down in that hole and went boom. Just knocked the fire out of it. So what we've got going on right now, the water has actually started up a little bit. You know, when we first got started, about 11 o'clock, I mentioned that the river was going to come up some. It's after 2 now, and the water has probably came up 6 or 8 inches, but the speed has definitely picked up. But these fish they're still hanging down in those holes and stuff. But this is a really nice one. And he ain't quite as big as I thought he was, but 295. 295. Basically a 3-pounder. Big old long thing. That's a pretty healthy smallmouth. Man, that was a lot of fun in that current. The little light line on a spinning tackle. Let's get her back down in there. This has turned out to be a pretty solid day for sure. To have been so slow from the start. I think 2 things really contributed to that. Location change, I think, helped. But more than that, I think our fishing style, our presentation, you know, going to the jerk bait, going to the tight line. I was doing a lot of my normal stuff, fishing a Ned rig, fishing a bladed jig. That just didn't seem to be the deal. It seems like a bait fish presentation. It's certainly what these smallmouth are wanting today. Timer's up, back to the jerk bait. It's kind of tore on whether to try the chatterbait again, but I don't think I will just yet. Got another one? There we go. I'm liking this. This is kind of a little shallower still spot, but it's still. Oh, that's a good one there. Look at the one with it. There's one with it. Where'd he go? Got him. Doubled up. Thank you for pointing this one out to me. I'll take that. Both good ones too. You gonna be able to handle yours?
No.
Oh no, you lose him? What'd you do that for? Wait, you pointed one out for me on the Team Baitcaster. Another one? Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see what this one will go for. Team Baitcaster. That's a pretty one. He's not 3, but he's nice. Yours was a little bigger, wasn't he?
I think he was. We'll never know.
No. 275 on this one. Team Baitcasters just went back into the lead for sure. That was cool. That's the first time we've seen that where there was 2 of them together. I do typically see that a lot this time of the year, but first time today. Mine was 275. Yours was at least 4.5. All right, timer's up. And the Baitcaster has taken the lead bags. That's 2 in the 3-pound class on it. I think we're 3 and 3 on fish. But I'm 2 nice ones with the Baitcaster. 1 nice one on the tight line, so. And even the small one on the jerk bait was still right at a 2-pounder. Probably need to catch 2 on the tight line to make up the difference. All right, so we are down to the final period here. We've got 10 more minutes, and here is one last update. Spinning rod scale, I'm at 588 on it, and that's on 3 fish. That's a pretty nice fish. 3 fish that I've caught on the Baitcaster, total 773. So I've got 10 more minutes with the spinning rod to see if I can catch, man, a 2-pounder. A 2-pounder would do it, or if I can catch a couple 1-pounders. So we're coming up to a really good stretch of water right down here. There's 2 or 3 shoals. It's a place where I've caught a lot of fish. So 10 more minutes, the spinning rod's got to make it happen, or the Baitcaster's going to win. Hey Siri, set a timer for 10 minutes.
Okay, 10 minutes and counting.
However, there we go. He's not a 2-pounder, but he might be a 1-pounder. Oh, I don't know if he's going to be a 1-pounder. Can the spinning rod do it here in the last 10 minutes? He's going to be really close to being a 1-pounder. That is a perfect little eddy over there. Let's see, my scale is still on, even though that's the right one. I don't think he's going to go, man. Don't think he's going to go. Oh, 1.03. Not even kidding. Look at that. 1.03. We're part of the way there. We need another 1-pound bass. Why am I fishing so hard when I'm only competing against myself? I don't really understand this, but I'm trying really hard to beat myself. I guess I just want to see the underdog win. All right, perfect little eddy right there. Point, fairly deep water. It's like 6 feet or so here. He thumped that little minnow. Thump. I'm wasting time now that I'm hung up in a perfect little tree right here. I'm about to mess up. I didn't pause it for getting hung before. I gotta play it fair against myself. Can't be biased. Spinning rod or Baitcaster. I think it's just whoever's not leading going into the finals who you want to win. You know, you always want second place to make a comeback. I should catch one right down here off of this next point. Maybe right on down here in this really still spot where it gets a little bit more depth. Might just be where it happens, folks. Oh, no. That was that right there. Dadgummit. I'm gonna mess it up. Hey Siri, how long is left on my timer? I still got 3 minutes. Let me right out here below this shoal. There is a good little hole right over here. Thought that was a bump. Thought it was a bump. Maybe this little steel spot right here. There's the timer. Got this cast. We're going to count this cast. If anything happens, all I need is a scoreable fish on this cast. Oh, it's heavy. Oh, it was grass. It did get heavy. We're going to give the spinning rod a bonus cast because this looks too good right over here to not throw out. Spinning rod, you get 1 bonus. If it don't happen on this one, that's it. That will be the end of the competition. It's not looking good, folks. Not looking good. Man, they've got so close right there at the end. Catch that last little old 1 pounder. But that was a really fun competition to have. Let's see what our final scores were. Now I am going to throw a couple caveats in there. On the Baitcaster, my second biggest fish, almost a 3 pounder, came when JD hooked a really big one and was fighting it in, and I had a buddy with it and I caught that one. So, you know, there was that going on. But on the tight line, I also lost one I didn't see. I'm going to guess it was a scoreable fish, but here's the final. 692 on the spinning rod, 773 on the Baitcaster. So that, you know, that was pretty close challenge. 10 minutes per, and you know, it was a very slow day to start with. Once we got down the river, and I do think that water's starting to come up a little bit this afternoon, probably helped some too, but getting back down here and making the adjustment of going with bait fish colored stuff. I started off throwing a swim bait a little bit, but I was throwing an Ed rig a lot. I was throwing a bladed jig, a green pumpkin one a lot, and those darker colors just weren't working. And ended up switching up. My very first cast with a jerkbait caught that really big smallmouth. So once I figured that out and was like, hey, these fish seem to be more on a bait fish type pattern and kind of holding down in these little deeper grooves right below these shoals, that's where we really started to pick them up. You get in these long, deeper stretches and it wasn't as good. You needed to be right where those shoals dropped off. And there was still some decent current around, but where those fish had 4 to 6 feet of water pretty close by. Pretty even comparison as far as the total weight, but definitely that jerkbait seemed to catch bigger fish on average. The smallest one I caught on it was almost a 2 pounder. So it was definitely a fun challenge. Tight line was a great way to get a bite, and I caught a really nice one on it too. So all in all, a really fun, you know, fun experiment is kind of what I would call that for me. I hope that it helps you all learn something. For one, to see that when you get a bait or a pattern started to dial in, there's almost always something that will complement whatever that is. And that's kind of what I was doing with the jerkbait. Once I got bit on it, I knew immediately the next thing I was going to try was a tight line, and it was effective as well. Having those baits that complement each other can help you put more fish in the boat every single day you're out on the water. So hope you've enjoyed this. Be sure you like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time out here on the river.